This is Inspired Afternoons.
Welcome back. You tuned into Inspired Afternoons, the final Ramadan edition with me, your host Mariam Nia. I mentioned earlier my colleague Nafisa Dengo will still be continuing Inspired Afternoons tomorrow. And if the moon is not sighted, then on Thursday as well, inshallah. And now I'm so pleased. I'm finally getting an opportunity to speak to a dear sister that we connected and we met when she was part of an invitation delegation that was invited by the Palestinian embassy in South Africa. I think it was 2019, and this is Sister Lema Nazeeh. She is a Palestinian lawyer, feminist, and political activist. She is also deputy chairperson of the Popular Struggle Coordination Committee, which operates in the occupied Palestinian territories. She's a well-known activist engaged in popular resistance to Israeli occupation of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. She specializes in international criminal law, detainees' rights, litigation related to land entitlement, as well as coordination of advocacy groups. Lema is constantly threatened, with what she does. No doubt she's constantly threatened by Israeli authorities in carrying out political arrests of Palestinian activists on charges of preparing or participating in nonviolent demonstration. She herself has been arrested 4 times in the last 3 years. So yes, very, very good company and very insightful in what she does to give us the insight on what had transpired in since last week Friday, the Israeli aggression against the Palestinian people. Please remember, we need to change the narrative. It's not a conflict. A conflict is when people have they equal in terms of the arms they have, in terms of the resources they have, and then that is a conflict. And on Saturday and Sunday, it was not a clash. So we need to change that. It was not a clash. The Israeli army stormed into the Aqsa precinct, into the mosque, heavy-handedly and heavy armed. It wasn't a clash. Clash speaks of two people, that there is a conflict, there is something going on between two people. This wasn't a clash. This was Israeli aggression, and we need to say it like it is, and we need to change the narratives in our reporting in global media as well. So let's say it what it is and use correct terminology. This was heavy-handed Israeli oppression. So with that, I'd like to welcome my beloved sister Lema. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Lema, and welcome to Inspired Afternoons on Salam Media.
Assalamu alaikum, Mariam. Thank you very much for this amazing introduction. And I really want to catch up the last sentence you said about the conflict and the terms. We have to use the real facts to put it in context. I would like to even double that and speak again at that. There is no parity between the occupied and the occupier, no equivalence between a system of oppression and structural violence and a population at the receiving end. And from that, I would double what you said and thank you for saying that and mentioning it before even starting the interview. And again, I appreciate having me again in the Salam Radio. I'm really, I feel really honored, and South Africa has a special place in my heart, and all the South African people from my last visit in 2019. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to even speak up again with the South Africans audience.
It's an absolute pleasure. And I said at my introduction, the scarf I'm wearing today, I bought in Bethlehem from one of our Palestinian brothers. They are 22-year-old, and he had all the Palestinian scarves, and they were different price ranges. And then I asked him, so what's the difference? He said, no, you get those that are made in China, that we buy from made in China, and these are made in Palestine. He told me, yes, you see, I'm well versed in these things here. So he showed me, says, those are made in China, and that's why they're cheaper. I think they're about 5 or 6 shekels cheaper. Yeah. And then, yes, you're laughing because you know this, and now I was educated.
Of course.
And then these, I think, was 7 or 8 shekels more. But he told me, you know what? These were made by our Palestinian sisters in a factory there. When you purchase this, you are supporting them. So please, and they were much better quality. So I love the color, it's a very feminine color, and I was pleased. So that's I hold dear to my heart, because I know handmade in Palestine, alhamdulillah. So yes, this is a little piece I brought with me from Palestine here, and I'm away. So whoever's visiting, inshallah, once travel is open again and you visit, please purchase the made in Palestinian ones, so you support the Palestinian economy.
Exactly, and it's the only factory left in the city of Hebron who produce these kufiyas, and the Palestinian original kufiyas. It's the only factory from the Israeli actually restrictions against the Palestinian economy. So yes, buying it, supporting the Palestinians' economy and the Palestinians' even traditions and culture.
Shukran. So, Sister Lema, I think from last week, Thursday, or even Wednesday, it's been a very, very, very difficult day. It's the month of Ramadan. It's supposed to be a month of mercy, a month of peace, a month of bonding, and yet you are fighting to defend your land, to defend your rights. You are fighting to defend our third Qibla Masjid, our first Qibla, Masjid Aqsa, the sanctity of our masjid against just blatant disrespect by the Israeli soldiers. I seen videos taken. They came in with their shoes and they away. We don't allow shoes in the masjid. They know this, but yet they decided to do this, to violate the sanctity of the masjid by the ultimate insult of coming with your shoes in the masjid and then locking everybody, throwing those guns, being heavy-handed. Really, really, for me, it's a crime, international crime against humanity, with such blatant disregard of a place of worship.
Yes, indeed, sister. To put it in context, that all the events happened before even the last Friday. It's the situation on the ground is rapidly destabilizing in Palestine, and of course, especially in East Jerusalem, as a result of intensifying violations, provocations, incitements, and aggression by the occupying power and the extremist settlers organization against the Palestinian civilians population. Over the past month, amid escalating forcible transfer of the Palestinian families and harass Palestinian worshippers' forces, and illegal settlers continued to attack and harass Palestinians, and the Palestinians, especially in Al-Aqsa Mosque, while during Ramadan, during the holy month of Ramadan, and even the Orthodox Easter, risking inflaming already high tensions and sensitivities, and sparking a religious tension which will have grave consequences, and a regional and international, it will risk the international peace and security. These acts of aggression have become highly occurrent since the start of the holy month of Ramadan, with hundreds of Palestinians injured or arbitrarily detained. Settlers, they kept chanting like death to Arabs. We will burn down your villages and we will slaughter you all. We all going to kill you one by one. And I'm quoting, these are exactly the chanting of the Israeli settlers extremists against the Palestinian in Jerusalem. And they were protected even by the Israeli occupying forces, rampaged through the holy city, violently attacking the Palestinian people. Before speaking about what happened on Friday, we're gonna look about the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, because this is where it started, the flame, which is there is 7 Palestinian refugee families are facing imminent forcible displacement from their homes in Sheikh Jarrah in the occupied East Jerusalem, in violation, of course, of the international law. In collaboration with settlers organization, Israeli tended judiciary system has ordered the forcible displacement of these Palestinian families with the purpose or effect of replacing them with illegal settlers, amounting, of course, this amount to a war crime under the international law and under even Rome status of the International Criminal Court. While protecting these illegal settlers, Israeli occupying forces attack these families every night throughout Shahr Ramadan, the holy month, invaded their houses and prevented other Palestinians and even foreign diplomats and international activists from accessing this area. But on Friday, Israel extended its violence against Palestinian families of Sheikh Jarrah to Palestinian worshippers inside Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. They attacked thousands of worshippers and threw gas and fired rubber bullets inside the mosque, brutally attacking children, women, and elders, and detaining hundreds of Palestinians. Israeli occupying forces, they even injured more than 300 Palestinians. Videos and pictures from East Jerusalem show Israeli occupying forces and undercover agents deliberately attacking Palestinian families and children while praying in the mosque. And even yesterday, they start to burn the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They threw a gas grenades to a tree next to the mosque. It was already infected from the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the fire was in the compound. The occupying power turned Al-Aqsa Mosque into a military post and cut the electricity and loudspeakers, and preventing the imams from conducting the prayers, and even in Laylatul Qadr. They attacked, they target Palestinians, they target even injured Palestinians again to detain them, and prevented ambulances from reaching the injured Palestinians. But on the other side, the Israeli occupying forces, they protected the groups of settlers as they were marching through the old city, terrorizing the worships and chanting again death to Arabs as they prepared to their Mondays, yesterday's, the so-called March for Jerusalem Day. The situation is indeed crucial at this moment. It's very hard times, but at the same time, the Palestinians are reacting to it in a very strong and courageous way. Marches and demonstrations went in throughout all Palestine, including Palestinian inside the 67 border. Demonstrations were seen in Ramallah, Bethlehem, Nablus, Haifa, Lod, Nazareth, Yafa, and even in villages like Tarshiha, in so many, and almost I would say even in each Palestinian village inside the 48 and even inside the 67 borders. And this unity that we have seen in these days, it gave us even the hope that all the attempts of the Israeli forces and the Israeli occupation to fragment the Palestinians and displace them, and even to divide them through different laws and different ideas, it didn't work. After all, Jerusalem and Al-Quds has united us as always, and all the Palestinians now in the streets are fighting, demonstrating against this brutality and violence and even crimes committed against us.
Sister Lema Nazeeh, so you know what? We've seen pictures, we've seen the videos. We were saddened, we were angry, we were upset here in South Africa. And today, in South Africa, at the Israeli embassy, outside the Israeli embassy that is in Senton, you pass Senton when you're here, so you know the area as well. There was a huge protest. Salam Media covered the protest as well, and it wasn't only South African Muslim population was there in the process, but all South Africans, because remember, we've lived through apartheid, we defeated apartheid, we understand your struggle of apartheid. So I have one of the demonstrators, Mr. William, on the line here, who is going to share with us what had happened who is going to share with us what was the feeling like and what had happened at the demonstration. And then I've got my producer Salilo, who's just walked into the studio. Maybe you can just come around here, Salilo, and say hello to Lema. Maybe bring your chair here, Salilo, bring your chair here. Bring your chair here. We're going to adequately social distance, so we're safe here. But this is just come in the frame here. I think you come a little here so Lema can see you. So
now
this is my producer. This is Salilo. So this is my producer Salilo, and he's just come back. He's really, really tired. You can see he's tired. He's been covering the protests at Sheikh Jarrah. So he's going to explain to you the support you're receiving from South Africa, here, Johannesburg, South Africa. So let me just welcome Mr. William on the line. Good afternoon, Mr. William, and welcome to Inspired Afternoons on Salam Media.
Thank you so much for having me. It's funny because I just met your producer right now, and I'm still walking through the streets. The protest was actually outside the Israeli trade office in Sandton, and I'm still walking through the Sandton streets. It just concluded, but it wasn't at the embassy. The reason is that we thought that the heart of Israel's power internationally has been in how it tries to forge trade and economic links with countries. So really the power of the wheels of a country is an economic power. So for us it was strategic to be visible here in Stanton, the economic center of the continent, and protesting Israeli apartheid, which is what we just did.
So tell me the atmosphere. How was it there? How many people turned up to at the protest, and just give us the atmosphere there.
So it's hard to get numbers, but I would say it could be anything between 60 to 100 people, which when you consider COVID-19 and naturally the constraints on public assembly that it faces, I think it was quite an impressive turnout, especially considering the short notice in addition to all of that. And I think that the atmosphere this afternoon was one of anger and outrage. I think that people today are showing their solidarity, one just showing their solidarity as some gesture of sympathy to the Palestinian people, but really, really, really feeling with them in the sense of the situation that they're currently facing, the escalating ethnic cleansing, the deepening brutality. And I think that what was the common thread amongst everyone that spoke today is that because we as South Africans have experienced the horror and the terror of apartheid, that it's time for us now as South Africans, and it's time especially for the South African government to stop calling for a peaceful solution, to stop calling for a de-escalation of tensions, to stop talking in euphemism. What's necessary now is action, and the government must adopt boycotts, it must adopt sanctions and disinvest from Israel. It's time to isolate Israel as South Africa was isolated during apartheid.
Sister Lema, would you like to respond to what Mr. William has said? He was just there during in solidarity, they protesting at, as he mentioned, Stanton, the economic financial hub, not only of South Africa, but of Africa, and to send a message to both, I think, Israel and America, as well as all the leaders in the Middle East who remain silent in the face of aggression and atrocities been meting out on the Palestinian people. So, Mr. William, I have Lema Nazeeh. She's actually an activist, a lawyer, a political activist and lawyer in the West Bank, and she's also the deputy chairperson of the Popular Struggle Coordination Committee. She's on the ground in Palestine. She has her finger on the pulse with the issues here. She's with the people. So I'm asking her to respond to what you have said.
Okay.
Lema, you can go ahead.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yeah. I would like to thank William for giving me all this insight from South Africa's protest. And for me, this is very important even to convey these messages and these solidarities with Palestinian people. I would like to thank you for that. And of course, what now we call is for the international community that cannot remain paralyzed in this face of these blatant crimes. It is high time for the international action using the means and measures afforded by the international law, and to finally hold Israel, the occupying power, and the settler organizations accountable for their violations and crime against the Palestinian people. It's time to cease any support to its legal occupation and cease the preferential treatment that has for so long exempted Israel from its obligation to respect the law like all other countries in the world. The international community must call on Israel to immediately cease these discriminatory court proceedings against the families of the Palestinian families in Sheikh Jarrah, and to desist from the racist and discriminatory policies against the Palestinian people, and dismantle its apartheid regime in Palestine, and to be held accountable. Palestinian victims, they need to see justice, and justice can come even through the solidarity of our friends and supporters worldwide, and especially in South Africa, people who lived under apartheid. And now after all the people and after all the international reports that said that Israel is practicing, not only practicing, Israel is creating and establishing establishing and maintaining an apartheid regime in Palestine. And now we have to call for the accountability and to recognize the state of Palestine and to give justice for all the victims here.
So we'd like to thank protester Mr. William for taking off time and standing in solidarity with Lema, with yourself and the people of Palestine. So you know you're not alone in the struggle. While we're speaking, I'm sure you've seen all the pictures my engineer Nazreen put out. That was from today's protest. So I'm sure I see you smiling.
It's amazing,
you felt happy.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, this is South Africa. This is a few of the pictures of the protest. You can see Palestinian flags, the kifayas being worn, many Palestinian flags here in solidarity. And as we mentioned, not only South African Muslims, but South Africans in general who support an end to an apartheid Israeli state and Israeli aggression on innocent.
These pictures, it will boost even our hope. It will give us even more energy to stay and remain in the protest and to keep protecting Jerusalem and defending Al-Aqsa compound for all Muslims, not only for Palestinians. And I believe that Palestine is doing, the Palestinian people are doing a great job of defending for Al-Aqsa. It is really brutal violations from the Israelis, occupation and settlers, but nonetheless, the Palestinians are sleeping day and night in Al-Aqsa compound, Al-Aqsa Mosque, to protect it and to defend it, not to let them enter with their shoes, not to let them even burn the whole city. For that, we're gonna protect and preserve our rights as Muslim and even Christians in the holy city of Jerusalem.
And Sister Lema, I am going to send you those images from the protest from South Africa. So please do share it with all our Palestinians, all our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Their struggle is our struggle. So I am going to send it to you, and please do share it with them. It's going to give them that boost and that encouragement. So when you're feeling a little down and you're in that Aqsa compound and you're feeling tired and you feel you have no more energy left to fight, I think those pictures are just going to boost them and elevate their spirit, their morale, because you're there. And I know, I have a good sister stays in Silwan, but she's an archaeologist at Masjid Aqsa, Sister Abir Ziad. I don't know if you've met her.
Yes, I know her, yes.
Yes, so she's also, just like you, a beloved Palestinian sister. And she always told me, she says, loving in Jerusalem is our jihad. We love here, but it's our jihad. We get tempted by millions of dollars being offered to us to sell our little flats, to sell our apartments. And we know that money will help us a lot, but we hold back because if we go, we're going to lose Al-Aqsa. She says, we pay 30% more for our groceries in Jerusalem compared to everybody in the West Bank. But if we leave here, then again, this is what the Israelis want. They're making life. They're giving us economic sanctions, financial sanctions, psychological trauma. They're imposing on us to force us to leave. We love here. It's our jihad. Make dua for us. Support the people financially, emotionally, with prayers in our brothers and sisters of Jerusalem. I call them the defenders of Al-Aqsa because they're only staying there to defend Al-Aqsa.
Thank you very much, Mariam, and thank you very much for this solidarity. I don't want to even thanks for solidarity, because I would believe that people who knows justice, people who knows living under apartheid and oppression, knows the meaning of freedom and justice. And that's why I believe that all what you do is for the cause of just and peace and freedom for all. Thank you, Sister Mariam, and thank you, Salam Media. And all.
Sister Lema, before we go, I just want I've put Salilo on the opposite side here because he needs to hear the conversation. But my producer Salilo, who you've seen earlier, because he's come from there, he spent time, he was videoing, recording, getting all the interviews. So he was hard at work. They're producing my show, and then off to Senton he was while I was busy on the show. So he's going to tell you all about his experience and the feeling he felt being there. So Salalo, you can go ahead and just tell me and Lema as well, how was the atmosphere? I so wished I was there, but I was there in spirit and in support. Please tell us all about your experience.
Firstly, the atmosphere was really electrifying. You could feel that the cause was bigger than the people that were there. It felt like the people that were there were fighting for a brother that they can't see, but they can feel the brother's pain from wherever he is. So it was really powerful for me. There were chants even in Zulu. There were African.
So what were some of
songs.
the Zulu chants?
The Mandla, a way to, singing traditional South African struggle songs, and songs that have carried South Africans for so many years, during the struggle of apartheid. And you could tell from the people that were there that it just came, unconsciously. They didn't have to think about it, because the people that were there lived through apartheid, and automatically for them, when they hear and see images coming out of Gaza and Palestine and Jerusalem, you could feel that they understand. They feel the pain, they know the struggle, and if given the chance, they would get on a plane one time and find themselves in Jerusalem and fight side by side with the brothers there. So it was a really emotional, but still inspirational moment, to say, we don't see our brothers in Jerusalem, we can't hear them, but we feel them
we feel their pain.
Our hearts. Yes, it was a really powerful moment for me.
I'm sure that uplifts you listening to that, sister. I see you. You feel like you swelled up with tears as well.
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Assalama. This is really for us. I'm even now shared this interview live on my social media, and I'm gonna share all the messages and convey it to all the Palestinian people and even our comrades in Jerusalem and fighters there.
Yes, and please, you can direct them as well to our Salam. What I'll do is after the show, Salila will send you. I'll send you a label link. As well, our Facebook Salam Media Facebook label link, so you can share that label link of this interview to everybody in Palestine. And you know what? It's today. For us, is the 29th of Ramadan. Gonna be this evening. Could be another auspicious night as well. We wish you well, and I know it's difficult. The blessed time of Eid is coming, and Eid is normally a happy, joyous occasion. But for me, in spite of all our difficulties and that, we're still standing. Aqsa is still standing. The people of Palestine remain resolute in their fight to protect Masjid Aqsa, in their fight to liberate Palestine. And now we stand resolute in our support. Our support will never perish, never diminish. It gets stronger. So every time there's aggression, for me, the irony is Israel's plans of aggression always backfires, because you know what it does? It just unites everybody even more and make us more determined to ensure #end to apartheid Israel, the end of apartheid Israel. And
Yes.
Salilo,
Yeah. There's a really nice chant that I think will stay with me forever, and it was a theme, ever since we got off the car right until we left. The protesters there and all the people that were marching. This is the chant that they screamed throughout. They said, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." Does that resonate with you? Yes.
Yes, of course. This is our chanting here.
Yes, from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be
free.
They can lie, they can kill, Palestine will never die.
Yes. That's our official since years and years, and all the intifadas chanting.
So we stand with you. So inshallah, it's difficult, but you know what? It is a celebratory Eid, because we stood firm. Our Palestinian families, brothers, sisters, children, unarmed, fought off and ward off the aggressive, heavy armed Israeli military, and we're still standing. So it is a victory for us, and inshallah we will stand. And our support has become even stronger. This has galvanized the international community even more in our support for you and the struggle for you. And like Brother William said, if he could come now and be part of defending Al-Aqsa and defending the 7 families at Sheikh Jarrah, we there. So we there in spirit, and inshallah may you have a blessed Eid, and please wish everybody a blessed Eid Mubarak from the entire South Africa and the team here at Salam Media to our family in Palestine.
Thank you so much, and happy Eid and blessed Eid for you too, and all our brothers and sisters in South Africa. And let's hope that to win this battle as well against the Israeli, and to raise the Palestinian voices and the Palestinian flag over Jerusalem and all Palestine from the river to the sea. Thank you so much.
Summa Amin. Summa Amin. We'll chat again in the future. And that was Sister Lema Nazeeh, all the way out from the West Bank, chatting to us. And then we had Salilo giving us your feedback. So Salilo, there was another. So what we'll do is let's just take a quick break, and then let's just talk, because this is my last show with you. So just stay here and let's just ask Nazreen to give us a quick break before we round up.